The Mahogany Project presents I Just Want to Tell Stories, hosted by Joe Anderson Jr., powered by the South Congress Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 9 of I Just Want to Tell Stories. Today we have a light in the building to interview. Someone who is young, up and coming, an amazing spirit, amazing energy, just gives this warm, welcoming vibe. Today we have Deja Morgan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Of course. I love that intro. I feel so special and uplifted. It's like, okay, a light. Nice.
A light. You know, I always base, when I meet people, like the energy I get from them. Yeah. And it doesn't mean they're like, they were super, super nice.
Right.
It's just an energy. And even if someone's going through a bad day, you can feel energy. So maybe like, your energy is a little bit lower, but I can still feel that light, you know? And so, I feel that every time we're in the same space. It's only been twice, but...
Wow, well, that's an honor that you picked up on that. Yeah. I appreciate that.
So let's tell the people how we met.
Yeah. So when we met, I was the president of the Black Student Alliance at St. Edward's.
Yes.
And we were partnering with Pride during February because we wanted to do, like... an event that really highlighted the intersectionality of being Black and queer. Mm-hmm. And I remember Joy, who's she's the head of diversity and inclusion, was like, oh, like, y'all should bring Mahogany Project back. And I was like, well, who is that? And I, like, researched, and I was like, how did I not know that this was, like, hello?
Yeah.
You know, so...
Austin's best kept secret.
Really?
I'm your favorite writer's favorite writer.
Oh my God. So yeah, we saw, we did some research and saw who y'all were and reached out, and thankfully we were able to get y'all to come and perform. And it was, I think, actually the last day of Black History Month, which was really special. Yeah. And we had just released like a manifesto to our school, and we just like on top of it, like we busting doors down, like we in here, and it was just nice to like have like Mahogany Project come and like put the nice little bow at the end of Black History Month. So at St. Edward's, because we needed to show up, and
we shook the table.
We did shake the table.
Shout out to K. Michelle.
Right.
Shook the table.
Right. We did. So y'all came and performed, and it was like anything I've never seen before, that I've ever seen before, and I was just immediately sucked into the raw, captivating emotions that you all had that night. And it was just so like, I was like, man, I'm so grateful that this is in Austin. This is a gym. And especially you know, with your Leo taking up space and just being like, here I am, and this is how I felt unapologetically. And I was like, I feel you.
That was, for those that are listening, that was Love Jones, February 2017?
Yeah.
2017?
18. Wait. No, the show. Are you talking about the show? Yeah, I think it might have been set 2017 because, it was the beginning of the year in 2018 when we performed.
Yeah. I thought that was a great night. Yeah. I mean, it was a really good night for me.
It was so good. Yeah.
I felt the energy, man. Y'all were like y'all were with us the entire show.
Yeah, because we've never had anything like that before, considering that St. Edward's is a PWI. So we were deprived, and we finally got that experience that we had been longing for.
And for those that know me and Ty, they definitely asked if we were together, and we started laughing, not answering their question.
Right.
I was like, oh, no, we're not together. At the time, like, Ty was dating Adam from the last episode.
Right, yeah.
And I was definitely dating someone. Yeah. I didn't say that because we had just gotten into a fight the night before.
Oh, Lord.
Or 2 days before. It was a really bad fight, and it was my fault. But he was there that night. That was my first time seeing him. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, enough about me.
Oh my God. I'm like going back to the night, and I'm like, okay, all this makes sense. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he walked up on me. I was like, oh, you came. Okay.
It's like, okay, hi.
Oh, it was definitely my fault. I had to apologize.
Look, evolve, Leo. Evolve.
It was definitely my fault. Now, he sprayed some gasoline on it, but it was definitely my fault. Okay. So, Miss Deja.
Yes.
Where'd you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in San Antonio, Texas, and I lived there until middle school.
Okay.
And then I moved to Houston for pretty much the remaining.
That's a difference.
Yeah, it is. And so I don't know. I know people be like up in arms about Houston and where you from and where, what side of town you on, but I claim Houston as my home because it was a place I grew up in my formative years, and it really had a huge impact on who I am today, and I'm proud to be from Texas and that I grew up in Houston because it really taught me a lot. And so,
what were some of the things it taught you?
Whew.
What were some of the lessons H-Town gave?
Right. Authenticity. Definitely. When you meet somebody from Houston, you just already know. You don't even have, at least me, being from there and having that context, whenever I run into somebody from Houston, whether I know them or not, there's just this raw, realness about them, this unapologeticness of, I'm from Texas. I'm from Houston, Texas. You can hear it in their voice. It's just super, people show up 100% as themselves, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And that's something to admire because I think that a lot of times, especially today, we're just, trying to be what we think people want us to be and whatever. But I just really appreciate, I have close friends. One of my best friends is from Houston, and it's just we naturally gravitate towards each other, but based off of this authenticity that we both have as individuals, and then coming together and just sharing that we don't have to shuck and jive or whatever for anybody. We're just showing up as we are.
Yeah.
And
our full authentic self.
Right. And Houston definitely just really instills that in you. From the jump, so
right.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Houston to me is I love Houston. I have a good time every time I go to Houston.
Yes.
Shout out to Brandon Sterling, William Lyons for showing the girl a good time.
Yes.
The Rose 2.0. So every time I think Houston is interesting to me because of the diversity, the true diversity that's in Houston.
Right.
And then especially, I like to think it's a little bit of Louisiana flavor into it as
definitely
well.
So.
After Katrina and people
definitely
migrating to Houston and kind of settling down, it really is just this blend of so many different cultures and vibes and energies. It's just beautiful to see.
So many, yeah. Especially reflected in the food. Oh my God. And then
food in Houston is bomb pussy.
Oh, it's crazy. And yeah, Houston is just... And I definitely, when I actually lived there when I was in, second or third grade, and I think it was when, Katrina happened, and, I remember being in school, and, so all of a sudden I had a lot of classmates that were from Louisiana, and, even, being there in elementary school, and then a little bit of middle school, and then actually finally going to high school there, you really see how, that, Louisiana feel definitely has, merged with that Houston culture. So it's really interesting, but it just makes the city so much more rich.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love Houston.
So, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 2 sisters on my mom's side, 2 brothers on my dad's side, and I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
I am the oldest.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any other creatives in your family?
Okay, so my mom is definitely a creative, but she never really got to express that as fully as I've been blessed to do. Okay. But she definitely is a creative person.
In what aspects?
Well, I remember when she was little, she would tell me that when she was little she wanted to be a painter. I remember growing up she would just draw these doodles, and she was just really good at it was just I don't know, the pictures that she would draw, I would just be so, in awe of them, when I was little, because I was wow, you have a talent, this looks good, this is pretty, I want to take this drawing and, keep it with me forever. Yeah. And just, she's a character, she really is a character, just her personality is just so, She's a Taurus, so she definitely comes in with this more grounded energy. But once you get to know her, she's just I think she has a Leo moon, so she just be all over the place. Just her presence is just so strong, and just she's so funny. Yeah. So I think her creativity comes out in more than one way. But yeah, I would think like if she did have a medium as a creative, it would probably be like drawing and painting.
And I forgot to ask this, but what is your creative medium? Let's tell the folks.
Okay, I am an actor. I'm a collaborator. I am a visionary.
Ooh, bitch, that's it. That's the podcast.
And I know, so like ultimately, like I got my degree in acting from St. Edward's, so
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate that. So I'm an actor. That's like my main medium, but I also create my own work. I write my own work. I just recently wrote my own solo show about microaggressions called Objects in Mirror Are Closer Than They Appear. And I'm actually performing that again in August. So, be on the lookout for that. But,
by the time this airs, it'll be unhappen. But we're going to send you good energy. Yeah.
Lord.
I just told you when this is coming out.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to shameless plug myself in. Y'all never going to hear about it until 2 months after the fact. My bad. Retrograde.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I create my own work. I also want to be an artistic director of a theater, so I kind of am into the arts admin side too, and that is where a lot of my activism and advocacy falls into my art. I am a strong believer that my art and activism don't exist separately from one another. They go hand in hand, and that's in everything that I do. So I have a lot of different mediums. I consider myself like overall a multifaceted artist just because I like to pull in different things and contribute them to like this bigger like artistic picture that I have. I call myself a visionary because I pride myself on being able to see the bigger picture, but then also get very specific to see how these pieces are going to come together to bring this to life.
Not a lot of people can do that. Only because, like, I see myself as a visionary. I have a vision. I know what I want.
Right.
I don't always see the details. They say the devil is in the details. So I always have to ask people to ask me questions.
Yeah.
So force me to get the details.
Right.
So I will, for example, our producer Cam. I will send Cam a text at like 11:30, and the next day he'll like respond, and that is forcing me to think about, okay, what is it that you want? How are you going to get that?
Right.
So to be able to do both is truly a talent, and I know you're real busy.
Yes.
There's a lot of self-reflection in that, and like constant questions and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
What about, are any of your siblings creatives? I wanted to ask that.
Well, so my sisters are like 10 and 9.
Oh, okay.
My brothers are like in high school and I think like a junior, and then the other one's maybe like in 8th grade.
Okay.
So
they're still young.
They're still young and trying to figure it out. But my sister Trinity, she's a Leo. She's the 10-year-old. She's so creative. Like she does her own makeup. Like she does her own hair. She was putting on nails the other day, not them clip-on nails like glue and doing the shit, like all that stuff. And I was like, girl, but I think that's because her dad's from Atlanta and she like was in Atlanta for a little bit, and that culture just got on her. Yeah. But she just
even that innate kind of
right? Yeah. Like it's good. Like it's not like, oh, like I'm a 9-year-old doing makeup. Like it looks good. Yeah. And she like lays her edges and like is super into like fashion and just like.
It's interesting how we can tell that early on in children, like
very much so
that energy that they present.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna be.
You said she's a Leo?
She's a Leo.
Oh, okay. Get ready.
Right, I already know. Yeah.
I like how you say, oh, she's a Leo. You introduce, they're this. Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
You give that. She's a Taurus.
Yes, I know. I'm super into zodiac, and astrology. So yeah, that's how I preface things. Yeah.
So I do have a question. So you got the acting bug.
I did.
What was the role that you saw that solidified that is what you wanted to do?
I don't know if it was like a role that I had. I think it was the fact that I kept finding myself in in theater. I was doing theater, and I was like, oh, like I had my first role in 6th grade, which is actually really funny because we had a Christmas show, and I was like, I'm gonna audition for this play, and then my friends were like, well, I'm gonna audition too. And we went in the room, and like this was when I didn't know anything about acting, and I like read the character name and the line too as I was saying the line. And it was just like I was like, I didn't know anything. And
Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho.
Yes. right. And they're like, just read the line, not the name. But yeah. So I walked in, I didn't know anything. And then they cast me as like the little angel. And then one of my friends at the time, Brittany Brown, got the lead in the play. And, you know, it was just funny because I didn't know that theater was going to be like a big part of my life at that time. So it was just like interesting that I was just like, you know, an angel in the background, and then I played a ladybug in the next show. So it's just like, you know, doing these little small parts. And then I moved to Houston the following year, and because I was a new kid, I think I did theater because it was it was comforting for me, and it was an easier way for me to adjust and like get to know people. And I continued to move schools, but I always found myself in theater. And then I think by 9th grade, I was like, I know I want to go to college for this, and I know I want to move to a bigger city and pursue this. Like, it was just something that I did. And then one day I looked up and I was like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for a minute and I like it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. What, I'm curious to know if there are any specific shows that you've seen that, like, you want to play in, or you would be like, oh, I would kill that, or, oh, dang, I wish I could have done that.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I just opened a file cabinet in my brain. All the files are busted out.
It's just papers everywhere.
Right, papers everybody. Yeah. So I think, have you seen Random Acts of Flyness? Oh my God. Okay, it's by Terrence Nance and Naima Ramos Chapman. It's really an amazing. It's a show on HBO, and it's like anything I've never seen before as far as like the way that a TV show is formatted. Like the whole season, I think there's like 10 episodes, and they're about 30 minutes each, and it's super like it has like surrealist elements in it, and it's like narrative, like little narratives along with it, but it doesn't follow like this like chronological through line. Like you could essentially jump in at anywhere in the season and be okay, but it talks about Blackness. They bring in different directors and different like creators to come in and do each episode, and they talk about really like they touch on really deep stuff, like, you know, one of them is talking about how, like, you know, like in families where some, you know, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, where like we'll have certain family members that like
we just don't fuck with
because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And
it just touches on that, like, you know, being at the cookout and like the creepy uncle and like, you know, like stuff like that. And then like, oh, like as a man, you know, say dealing with sexual assault, like they deal with like, what is the black man, like how, like exploring like black men in relation to sexual assault. Cause, you know, we don't really like talk about that or consider men being, you know, especially black men, you know,
this
trying to uphold.
Hyper-masculine idea of like what a black man is.
Right.
And something that as degrading,
right,
and dehumanizing as sexual.
Exactly. So like they talk about things like that, and then they, you know, touch on like polyamory and just like being in like a healthy relationship and a healthy open relationship. What does that look like? And it's just like it's an amazing show, really. And like I think I would love to be a part of that, just to be in the room to soak in what everybody's bringing to the table, because you can look at it and see like people are truly collaborating in this work, and it shows, and people are bringing their selves to the table, and somehow everybody's able to show up 100% and create this work of art. And it's just like, that is like my dream.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Yeah,
that's the show. Well, you mentioned something talking about like how this show like delves into like blackness. Yeah. So Houston, I'm assuming, you know, is very black.
Very much so.
Very, you know, very black culture, rich in black culture. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And then you come to Austin.
Yeah.
And it's specifically saying that words, you know. What was that like to transition from a space that you could. I mean, I'm not gonna say Houston. They got black people in every neighborhood. But you can definitely have access to that.
Right.
Or if you're not already in those neighborhoods, you have access to it easier.
Exactly.
So you come to Austin, St. Edwards, you talked about this earlier, having to write a manifesto. What were some of the things you noticed at St. Edwards and in Austin about blackness and your blackness and coming from Houston as a black woman? And
it's crazy because I wasn't as acutely aware of my blackness and my identity until I got here. Because I didn't have to think about my blackness like that when I was in a city where I was going to a school with predominantly black people. Like, if you think about being at a PWI versus a HBCU, like, everybody at a HBCU is already black and they're already there. So it's, okay, what's next? Here's who I am. Here is, like, people at HBCUs, I think, because it's already black, get to, like, establish that, but then be like, okay, well, here's who I am, here's my personality. But when you're at a PWI where you're deprived of like being able to express your blackness or have spaces where you can feel comfortable doing that, your identity as like a black person is much more heightened. And so when I came to St. Edwards, I didn't really realize what I had in Houston and San Antonio until I left it. And then I was like, oh, wait, like, I discovered different layers of my blackness as well. And, I don't regret going to a PWI. St. Edwards in Austin has given me everything that I need up until this point so I can move on to the next level, and I'm grateful for that. But I definitely had to have that experience in order to, I guess, have a much more stronger understanding and grounding of who I am as a black woman. And there were things that I wish could have been better and that I wish, I would have had more of in my experience during college in regards to my blackness. But it also helped fuel that advocate in me, that activist in me that was like, okay, well, I'm not going to wait for y'all to get it right for me. I'm going to get it right for myself. And I'm going to just do what I need to do to create the spaces that I want to be in and for other people who look like me.
Do you think this helped strengthen your voice as a black woman? The experiences of being here?
Very much so.
How so? Deep breath.
Oof.
Let me get my paperwork out.
Right. Let me just pull it all out. Well, one, I don't consider myself someone who, like, I don't like rules. I don't like being told what to do. I have a loud voice. I'm going to say what I need to say anyway. So with that in mind, if I'm in a space where I feel like I'm being limited, I'm going to say something about it. And I think the blessing was that during my entire time at St. Edwards, like, yes, it was predominantly white, but all my close friends were black women. And that was so important for me because we lifted each other up in ways that were all of us may not have been best friends, but we were all like, you good? Like, I got you. If you need something, I'm here. Like, we were there to be there for each other and to show up and be present, whatever that may have looked like. And that was an essential part in knowing, like, having a deeper appreciation for being a black woman and being surrounded by other black women who are, struggling, experiencing the same struggles as you, but we're going to lift each other up in that struggle together. And that really does create these strong bonds. And, I don't have a lot of people in my inner circle, but the people that I do have are from the people I've met in college and the people that I see in my life forever. And they're all black women. And we owe it to each other as black women. Like, we have really showed up for each other. And that is like something that I've walked out of St. Edwards, ironically, but I've walked out of St. Edwards with a much more appreciation for who I am as a black woman, the black woman in my life, and the, I guess, push that it gave me to be unapologetic about that.
I'm curious to know, have you had a conversation with your mom just about the identity, the intersection of being black and the woman, and how that conversation, now that you've grown up and you're growing into what it means to be a black woman with the fellowship of other black women.
It's really interesting, my mom's relationship and I, because she had me at 16. My grandparents raised me for like baby up until 6th grade. And then I lived with my mom for a little bit. And then I had like a whole village raised me pretty much. But my mom and I have more of a sister relationship than we do mother-daughter. And I think we're just now getting into like this mother-daughter kind of energy, even though like we're really cool with each other. But as far as Blackness is concerned, again, like, and it's even hard because you sometimes, like, I don't know, you go to college and like I'm first generation in my family, so there's a lot of things that they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in college and because I have access to all these things, like there's some things that I'll come home and talk about that they're like, what are they teaching you, and and it's like, it's just, you know, I've expanded my mind as far as like who I am, how I see the world. And so I think my mom and I are starting to embark on what those conversations look like, and we're dipping our toes in, but I don't think it's something that we ever had to consciously think about, or that we thought about growing up. Like, I don't know, like I look at my other friends that I have who like grew up and their families like instilled like Black history in them from the get-go, and like I didn't necessarily have that until I got to St. Edward's. And so like my mom wasn't somebody that was like, I'm gonna teach you about X, Y, and Z, and it's more so like me kind of teaching her about the things that I've discovered in my experiences, and her being like, oh, like she didn't realize how like white of a city Austin was until she like got here, and was like, oh, like, and I think at that point her Blackness started to become more, you know,
so it was just a deeper connection that y'all could have,
right,
experiencing the same things, at the same institution,
right,
so her coming to maybe visit or something,
right,
like that. That's so interesting.
It is
the same exact experience,
right,
generations different.
I didn't even realize that till I just processed it out loud right now.
That's what we do. I just want to tell stories. We just process out. So let's say you get a role. Okay. Or you get a script. Let me not say a role. You get a script. How do you attack or approach a new role? As an actor.
Darling. Excuse me. Let's see. I'm definitely, I don't know if I have like a pull out the process book. You know, I still feel like I'm in that process of discovering like what works for me when I approach certain roles. But I recently had a big audition at the Zach Theater for an adaptation of Dracula, and they wanted me to read for the lead, who like I really hadn't like read up about Dracula before, but I if I am not super familiar with like the content of the show, I obviously read it, or I'll, you know, look up synopsises, look up different takes on like what people think about the show and the characters, just to get a good understanding and basis of like what is the show, who are these people, and really just thinking about what, based on my experience or based on how I would imagine myself in this role, what can Deja bring to this? Like having a baseline understanding of like, who is this character? But what, you know, it's like having a pot of soup, and you got your chicken broth in, you got the basics, you got your vegetables and stuff. But then it's like, you can't just cook chicken broth and vegetables. You got to put Tony Chachere's in it. You got to put garlic powder, all that stuff. And so I think when I'm approaching a role, it's like, okay, I got to get my foundational things first. What am I doing? Who is this? What am I giving circumstances? Like having a good foundation of what it is I'm approaching. And then how do I want to put my own twist on it? And I'm still figuring out what that twist is, you know. But I think that's how I would like to approach roles, and that's how I have in the past with the auditions that I've had. And I only want to keep honing in on that too, and figuring out what spices do I have in my cabinet that I can pull out. Well, maybe this will taste better with this, you know, speaking metaphorically.
Right. Yeah.
But
what spice do you feel like you already got?
Tony Chachere's.
And what is Tony Chachere's in your life? What does that mean?
Ooh. You mean like in my life, or what I bring to the table as an actress?
Like what would Tony Chachere's represent? Like you say you got that already. Like what does that represent?
So Tony Chachere's is like a mix of Cajun spices. So it's like a mix of like, I know I'm very good at bringing this like grounded energy to the stage. I have a presence. I know that I have a presence on stage, whether that's vocally or my energy. And I know I have this like I guess for lack of better words, like this sexy energy that I bring in, but also like it's like a mature, sexy, like grounded energy that I know baseline. I can pull that out the hat and be like, I got this.
And that's your Tony Satchery.
That's my Tony Satchery's.
Boom.
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 Period.
Done. So we're winding down.
Yes.
What do you want to say to Little Deja?
Ooh. Okay, hold on. That just hit me right here in my chest. Little Deja.
Little Deja.
Little Deja.
Little Deja. Walking down the street.
Okay, can you give me an age range?
It's up to you.
Oh my gosh.
This is all on you, girl. At what age do you think Little Deja needed to hear from Big Deja?
I think high school.
And what are the words that Big Deja needs to tell Little Deja?
Everything you need to do anything that you want is already inside of you.
Yeah.
And to know that your worth and your value is totally separate than how people treat you. It's no reflection of how people treat you. Your worth is your own. And nobody should take that away from you.
Thank you for sharing that, girl.
Yeah, thank you.
So, our last segment we're about to do, top 5. So, I'm going to throw a category at you, and you have to answer your top 5 choices. They do not have to be in any type of order, so just top 5.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, top 5. Category is actors, darling.
Ooh, actors. Angela Bassett. Angela motherfucking Bassett is number 1. Okay. Viola Davis, duh. Angela Bassett, Viola Davis. This is hard. There's so many.
I think everyone says that every time they do top 5.
They do. I mean, it's true. It's like narrow down to 5 people. Okay. Barbara Streisand.
Babs.
Oh my God. It's like so many things come to my mind, but then also I'm like, wait, what? So Angela Bassett, Viola Davis, Barbara Streisand. I feel like all of my actor friends are like, bitch, you're so fucking basic.
I mean, like, that's a good list. That's
okay. I know it's a good list, but it's like I should know more. Like I should be saying more than mainstream people. But I'm like, no, I like these people. Damn. Okay. Okay. I know. There's 3.
Girl, this is the 30-minute show.
I know. I know. Okay. Angela Bassett. Viola Davis, Barbara Streisand, Denzel Washington. I mean, yes. So many people are going to come to mind after we're done. Oh my God. Okay.
Girl, you got one more.
I know, one more. And I'll say Naima Ramos Chapman. I know she's a director, but she's also an actress too. And I just, artistically, I'll die for her.
Okay.
So there's that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Finally, after 5 hours, we got our top 5.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I want to thank you. Actually, Angela Bassett is will be in my top 5 if I had to answer that, because on the Breakfast Club she went into Shakespeare.
Oh yeah.
And she did that shit. I was like,
oh yeah, she's ready.
She has the range.
Okay.
Range.
So
shit, I was like, okay. But I do want to thank you so much for coming to I Just Want to Tell a Story studio.
I'm so glad that you had me. I feel so blessed. I love this.
Thanks for just chatting with me today. Yeah. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Top Notch Actress. And yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to episode 9 of I Just Want to Tell Stories. Next week, unfortunately, is our season finale. We love you all. Thank you so much for listening this season. We have one more episode. We'll be back, but next week we have a very special guest, a native Austinite. I'm super excited for that story. But until then, love and light, and thank you. Mwah.
I Just Want to Tell Stories is hosted by Joe Anderson Jr. for the Mahogany Project and produced by Cameron Hawkins for the South Congress Podcast Network.